Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Town of Cedar Lake Board of Zoning Appeals, May 9th, 2024 meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Riley?
Here.
Mr. Onley?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Present.
Mr. Burnham?
Present.
Mr. Cora?
Present.
Mr. Ashton?
Present.
Mr. Bundy?
Present.
Mr. Kubiak?
Here.
Ms. Heidick is present.
All right, one item before we start is item number 4 is going to be moved to the end of the agenda this evening. All right, old business, number 1, StarSafe Developmental Variance. Owner petitioner, StarSafe of Cedar Lake LLC, 5301 Dempster Street, Suite 300, Skokie, Illinois, 60077, vicinity of 13649 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner, this is a developmental variance, is to allow the petitioner to use gravel for parking in the rear of the property, to continue to have parking along the property lines, and to have waivers from the lighting requirements in the gravel area of the property and screening along the northern and western boundary lines as currently existed on the property. Have representation tonight? Name and address, please.
James Sayak, 5301 Dempster, Suite 300, Skokie, Illinois, 60077. Honorable Chair, members, thank you for granting the continuation. Last month, unfortunately, just had my mother-in-law's funeral out east. I thought I was going to be a fly on the wall on a Zoom meeting, and then it ended up kind of some issues came up that I thought it would be useful to have the month to figure out. Where we had kind of left off last month, if I could maybe take the easy subject first and then talk about kind of the more intricate subject second. It seems that the board was ready to vote in the direction of giving relief on putting a fence up along the entire northern boundary, with the recognition that it's entirely forested for the whole length of the site, going back away from the main thoroughfare, and that any future development would likely meet the landscaping requirement by simply keeping God's beautiful landscaping there, which is, fully forested trees. So I don't need to speak to that topic very much unless the board wants me to, but
I think we're pretty much in agreement on that.
Okay, very good. So the second topic, and I want to be very respectful here. I've been doing this for 30 years all over the country, and sometimes as a developer, you kind of walk into a hot button issue for a community unwittingly, and there's very good reasons why that is. I remember one time I was in a community, high-end suburb, and they hated anything that wasn't retail. And they particularly hated real estate brokers' offices. That was their hot button. And I owned a property, believe it or not, that had a Coldwell Banker on one side of me and a second Coldwell Banker on the other side of me. And my petition before a zoning board was to consolidate Coldwell Bankers into my property. Seemed very logical, but it took 18 months and a lot of discussion and a lot of soul searching from the community for something that seems easy. In this case, I understand. There is an issue with people who do not have permission to create parking lots, putting them on gravel. You are deciding to not follow the law and take a liberty. And I understand that has come up. That's come up time and again. and it's not something that the zoning board or probably any of Cedar Lake's apparatus or population looks kindly on. The reason I wanted to take a pause last time is because I felt there's a big difference between a scofflaw, somebody who, wants to operate outside the rules of the game, and me and my company and my stakeholders, which bought a property that came into existence legally in 1986, with a lot of uncertainty at the time around how did it come into existence? Did it come into existence permitting the parking? How long has the parking been in continuous operation? The staff report that Ashley published, I think gives us a little bit of color and opines that this property has not been cited for any prior violation since 1986 and likely has the legal right to have parking exist on the site. Now, I'm not here, and nobody in my position wants to be here, telling the respected members of a board, its staff, its apparatus, hey, tough guys, I'm grandfathered. That's not what I'm saying here tonight. What I'm saying to you is, oftentimes, in the chain of title, it's the person who decides to come to town and make the multi-million-dollar investment in something that is being asked to pay the price. And I look at our site plan here, that the Plan Commission has resoundingly said is a good plan. We create one of the more beautiful storage buildings you can on the front of the site. And because we are doing the plat of consolidation, which was the path that Ashley wanted us to go down, and because we are, expanding our use or changing the entitlement, that opens the door to needing this variance, okay? That's what I'm hearing. For us, and I'm appealing to the board's sense of logic here, we have an alternate path. Our phase one of this project is to create 24,000 square feet of climate-controlled storage. Whether we do it on the front or whether we do it on the back, from a financial standpoint, is relatively the same. The difference here is, been working very closely with DVG and Mr. Hulse to come to these conclusions and play with tons and tons and tons of site plans here to try and make this as easy on everyone as possible. If we build it on the back, we are not asking for a plat of consolidation. We are not asking to expand any nonconformities. In fact, by developing the storage on the back in an orderly way, as we develop storage in a phased and orderly development plan, we're in fact reducing what the town doesn't want. We're reducing the nonconformity of parking on gravel. The loser in all of that, though, is me, and respectfully, I think it's the town, because it's a lot nicer for me to go ahead, build the building on the front, and gradually work our way out of this issue, which is that we have trucks parked on gravel. I want to avoid the issue of the veracity of the entitlement, whether or not this exists legally or not. I got a staff report on Friday. We have a staff member who doesn't work here anymore, and here I am up here having to talk about it, which is a unique situation for me. So I would respectfully ask the board to approve the variance, understanding that the orderly development of this property will eventually resolve this problem. We will replace, the unwanted gravel parking with storage buildings in due course. But I feel like there's a tremendous amount of public benefit, and there's certainly benefit to the petitioner, beautifying the site and putting the nice building that was resoundingly received well by Plan Commission first. I'm going to stop there because I know I've said a mouthful, and I'm going to admit to you guys, I'm kind of having to make it up as I go along here a little bit, because I didn't get the staff report till Friday, and I was a little surprised to see what it said, as you all might have been. So I'm going to leave it there.
All right, just a minute. Dave, are legals in order?
They are.
Thank you. Do you have a seat for a minute? I'll call for remonstrators.
Yes, sir.
Are there any remonstrators for or against this project? And are remonstrators for or against? If you, come on up, Jerry.
Jerry Wilkeny, 10826 West 131st Avenue. I was at those meetings, and we do not know what was originally approved. The overwhelming feeling about what he wants to do, I'm not so sure that's was the majority's feeling, but that's just my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong, if these variances are given, they're forever, not in the future when he feels like it, and all that stuff. The other thing that was discussed at the Planning Commission was a timeline, which is not uncommon for what we've done with other storage units. Get it in compliance within a timeline. It's been discussed in this room the third time now. Still nothing. What he wants to do there is fantastic. It needs to be cleaned up. But we need a window of time. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jerry. Any other remonstrators for or against? Anybody online?
I'm coming up.
Oh, you gotta walk faster, Bob.
Memorial Day, Bob. Robert H. Carnahan, 12850 Fairbanks Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana. I serve on the Planning Commission and on the Town Council, and I have totally opposed not allowing parking lots to be paid. We had one exception, and there were two of the Town Council members, and I was one of them that voted for it, but the other five at that time voted, I voted against it, the other five voted for it. But if it was before me, I would request that the paving be completed. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Anybody else?
I guess my question needs to be answered by legal. Mr. Austin, this variance for all these items, they're forever on the property, correct?
They run with the land.
They run with the land forever.
They run with.
So, it's forever. It's not when. When is the when?
Is there anybody online?
No.
Any other comments? We're closed, okay. You step back up, sir. Was a variance granted for this? Do we know?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Sure.
Are you asking originally or in modern times here?
No, was there a variance on that property when you purchased it?
When I purchased the property, it came with the rezoning in 1986 and an ordinance in place to permit what is there today. So it's gray, and if you're to read staff's opinion for what it's worth, this was likely permitted. And because that's a gray area, what we're being asked to do with a timeline, respectfully, as a petitioner, is say the bundle of rights that we have and the rights that run with the land today, we are going to surrender them. And that's the difference between this petition, as I understand it as of Friday, and any of the other situations that maybe Mr. Wolkening and Mr. Carnahan have seen in the past. There is a difference there. The other nuance here is we can continue to develop this and bring it more into compliance, but we're going to be going in an order that doesn't benefit the community. So if this petition is asking me to voluntarily take the right to have the trucks parked on gravel and throw that away, I don't think that's fair, because I'm being asked to do that because I want to come and invest millions of dollars in this property. And nowhere else in the chain of title since 1986 has any other owner of this property been asked to do that, nor have they been cited, not in 1987, when this was recent history, or 1988, or the 90s, or the 2000s, or the 2010s, or in 2023. So that's what's difficult about, you know, what seems logical, agreeing to a timeline, paving part of the site. It's not acknowledging that this site most likely carries with it the right to have the trucks parked on the gravel. And, you know, again, what is instigating standing here and talking about this at the BZA agenda is that we want to put the building at the front, which I think all of us can agree is a good thing. At least that's kind of my current thinking on it. Jack, I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, so, kind of, adding to what Jim was saying, Jack Halls from DVG, here also on behalf of this petition. The ordinance regarding the paving, the parking, and your revenue ordinance are all newer ordinances, and so they were likely not in place in 1986 when this was in front of you. This parcel was approved, the project, I believe the original project was approved in Lake County, and then the property was annexed in, and then there was something that needed some addition of some sort that needed to occur, and they were in front of the town for that approval. But again, at that time, the ordinance was not in existence regarding this paving. I think, and I understand Jerry's point completely about the timeline and this running with the land. So, you know, if there were some conditions maybe that needed to be understood, we could do that. But what we're trying to do is make it feasible to build the building at the front and not make any changes to the back, because those, in the perfect scenario, within 2 years, those buildings, as you've seen on the plan that was recently submitted, would begin to be built. And the trucks and the non-conformance that, you know, not parking on paving, that would all go away. As those buildings would be built, those parking areas would be removed and then be turned into indoor storage. So we don't really want to pave all that area and then 2 years later rip it out in order to put those buildings there. Because the buildings obviously are a much better way to do storage than outdoor storage. I think the community would agree with that as well. So that's the reason for the petition, is trying to get through the legal hassle of non-conforming uses, and we have to go through the subdivision process, and there was many comments that were made by staff and your consultants regarding that. So that's the reason why we're here.
Has this property changed hands since 1986?
I believe it's close, several, 5 or 6 times.
5 or 6 times? Those are the years that you mentioned?
And in those 12 years, have they tried to upgrade, build, park vehicles in gravel parking lots? Have they ever came in front of a board to get authorization to do that? You know, if you start a project and get it up to code, we can use this for every, you know, anything that's rehabable. When they put a building up, or you're gonna put a room in a basement, there's codes that you have to go through and steps to get to it, that you have to make that property to get to that point. So if I want to take my basement and I want to put a bedroom in, I have to put an egress window well in there with a window.
Yep.
That is the requirement to get that a legal process. The same goes for your parking lot. Lighting, and then there was the code of the gravel. So I'm just, you're going to have to explain to me, why are we skipping that? I understand you want the building in the front. I get that part of it, but if you took, I shouldn't say it because it's not my business, but what, to my eyes, why would you take the money in there, put the back end that you want to put those buildings in, get the lighting, get the gravel done, and you can always put your building in the front?
Let me comment on a few of your
Does that make sense? I mean, that's why that's why
Let me tell you where I'm coming from, Mr. Burnham. Let me answer your question. So, you can go through Sidwell maps you can go through aerials from Google Earth, and you can see this site conspicuously used for parking and storage since its inception in 1986. Permits were pulled to add storage buildings in that time. Sure, I mean, if you look, there were maybe 2 storage buildings to start and a whole bunch of parking on gravel. And then there were 3 buildings, and then maybe 4 buildings, and then eventually it became what it is today.
Yeah, I
Which
have
is-
not seen the timeline
Right,
of the
so
project.
the timeline is, and that's what's interesting about this petition, is that this has been basically, you know, in continuous operation as storage and parking since 1986. When the owner wanted to build a new building, whoever the owner was in the chain of title, they'd come get a building permit, they'd move some of the parking back, and they'd build a building. And they did that, I'd venture to guess, 15 or 16 times, not once or twice. No one was sliding things, you know, past Cedar Lake. The point about the building in the front, for us, you know, we want an attractive front door for customers. It can look like it is today. It's a relatively full site because the supply and demand metrics in Cedar Lake are really good for self-storage. Yeah, we could build 2 buildings back there and not be having this discussion. But I would rather do things in the orderly way, which is build a building, and again, not having this discussion means not abridging the rights that come with the property today, which includes having parking remaining on gravel, as best I can tell. And again, I don't want to be presumptive here with that. That is as best as any of us in this room can guess, okay? And it is what's in the staff report, and it makes sense. One thing we all know, sitting here factually, is no one cited the property owner since 1986 and issued continuous building permits and allowed parking to exist there on gravel, no matter who the owner was, no matter how many buildings were there. This site will be a lot more successful and look a lot better and be a better site for the community the quicker we can build that building up front. I mean, frankly, you know, other than having this discussion, and again, I return to my initial point, that this is an issue for this community that we've kind of unwittingly walked into, the layperson in Cedar Lake would not know that those trucks are back there. We are here to make the front of this site as nice and consistent with StoreSafe's brand standards as quickly as possible. And there's a lot more impact and benefit to that beautiful building we proposed in the front than building 2 climate-controlled buildings in the back. So, you know, if it's not going to be that, we'll have to go back and do some thinking. You know, we'll have to think about, do we want to forfeit all of the revenue that comes with those trucks that helps us carry this development that we counted on when we bought this? You know, do we want to pull all that stuff out of there or incur a lot of paving expense? Is it worth doing this development out of sequence? You know, and spending all that money, or does it make more sense to just build the buildings on the back and at least have some of the parking revenue that's only removed by the buildings that we create? So that's, you know, that's what we have before us collectively here, guys. And Mr. Burnham, I hope I answered your questions reasonably well.
Mr. Chairman, if this variance is not passed, that use of that property stays the same as it is right now?
Yeah, the property use will remain the same.
I mean,
He's just asking for a variance for...
It's storage back there right now, so if it's not approved, the storage would continue back there on the gravel as it is now.
Well, no, we continue using the gravel for parking. Is that what you're saying?
If we don't approve this variance, and it stays the same as it is now.
Right.
Right now, it's storage back there right now.
Correct. The thing that triggers it is, so your code states regarding legal non-conforming uses. So this would be considered, because of your current code, it says that all parking lots need to be paved and all parking lots need to be lit. That code was put into place,
2 years ago.
it was, what was that?
2 years ago.
2 years ago is when that code went into it became, you know, part of the town code. So, and there's also a clause in there about legal non-conforming uses. So when a petitioner or an owner wants to increase the use, i.e. build another building, then he needs to bring all of the non-conforming uses into conforming uses. And that is where we're getting this issue, is we want to build another building, and in order to build that building, we have to bring the entire site into conformance. And what we're saying is, that doesn't really quite make sense in this case, where we have an existing use. We're not increasing the amount of truck parking, we're not increasing the amount of gravel. We're actually gonna, over time, gonna reduce that. But in order to get through Plan Commission and get their approval, we need the variance that would allow this to happen. And so, does that make sense as to why we're in the position we're in? It's not like this is not allowed, and we would be in trouble especially if we just left it the way it is. It's a legal non-conforming use.
And the only clarification is, it's only the building at the front that triggers this. It's not adding additional buildings in the back that would trigger this.
So you're not gonna add buildings in the back?
No,
That's not what I'm trying to, that's not the distinction I'm trying to make. I'm saying that if we wanted to pull building permits to build buildings in the back, we would not need to come to ZBA and have a discussion about the parking remaining intact. The thing that triggers this, Jack said it was a building, and specifically, it's the building at the front that triggers all of this. Because the back, the whole back part, which is a separate parcel today, does not require this process to be able to add buildings. It's only a matter of pulling a building permit and doing the proper civil engineering work. That's the only distinction I'm trying to make.
And putting in, asphalt or paved parking areas.
For those drive aisles, yes, for the storage.
For wherever you've got gravel.
right, so that's under the current ordinance, correct?
No, but he's doing hypothetical, I'll the hypothetical back. What do you got, Tim?
I got a couple questions. In the past, I remember when the last two buildings to the north and the east were built, those are the last two buildings that were built there. There was a detention pond and some stormwater area back here on the, I guess you'll say, to the south
That's right at the end
side
of
of
that
the
road,
property, so. And I know that there was some issues with the as-built and the compliance of finishing that. I know that was years ago, and I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know all the details, I guess, but is that still the plan? That is the detention area, or is that, looks like it's filled in now?
So
With stone.
there's an interesting history with this parcel, and, the previous owner was, the owners of the Lakeview Business Park. And, I did that subdivision, presented that in front of the Plan Commission,
So they
and as
provide
part,
detention. So they made detention area.
So as part of that project, we accommodated for this site in the detention. And I've had that discussion with Don as to, that. So we
Gotcha.
knew that detention pond wasn't functioning well, and because there was a common ownership at the time, we decided that the best course was to, as part of that subdivision, include the detention,
For
on
this
that site.
project?
Yeah.
So that tension area is where the stone's filled, is that where that road ends?
Yes, exactly.
Right into that, where that road ends?
Yeah. Now, we will actually make an improvement and use that detention area. We're gonna, as part of a site plan, you can see that we're keeping a detention area there. So when we did the drainage area map for what I was just talking about, the front third, so the first four buildings that are existing and this area where we would like to build this building were not included in that, and so we'll need to have some detention. And my preliminary engineering shows that I can run that storm sewer from the front back here, and then it will release into the Lakeview Business Park detention system. The advantage of that is currently all this water runs off and runs into the street and then down through the end parcel. So it's kind of, there's not really
Yeah, I
much,
knew there was
there's no
some
detention.
issues in between there, and I
Yeah.
know that was something
Yeah.
outstanding. And then, My next question is right to on the eastern edge, there's the 8 buildings there, and then there's that long skinny something sitting there. What is that? That's a building?
The one that runs parallel to the
So
street.
that building was built without any permit or anything? Because I was here, I inspected the 2 buildings that are there to the northeast, we'll say, those are the last 2 buildings put there.
Can
And
you point to which building?
the little long skinny one running the opposite way. I don't know I didn't know if that's a building, but I know that building, I mean, I've been here.
That one?
I've been here since then, and that building was never.
We bought it with that building
Was it
erected,
there?
and I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that. I know for a fact, I mean, I've been here since those, and I mean, I never even knew that was there until looking at this picture.
Are those like closet storage? You know, like it's just, they're small, that long building, that's what you're talking about, that very long building?
It's like a long skinny stuff.
Yeah, that's just, outdoor shotgun storage. Yeah, you don't have, it's not double loaded, it would just be one.
Just a skinny, yes. Well, I don't think
Not
that thing
climate.
was just put in there without whatever. I don't know when that happened, but that's just, I know that it's never been permitted, but. Okay, and then I guess my other question, I'm new to coming to this, listening to this, I didn't really know what was going on here, but what is the logic in eliminating the screening along the northern property line, just because there's woods
Yes.
there now, but,
Yes.
I mean, isn't that creating something on a potential residential development or something in the future, or?
Yeah, so our argument, our rationale there is, it's currently zoned R1, it's wooded, that parcel is master planned as part of the town master plan to be B2 or B1 or 2, and so that screening would not be required if that zone change would happen, and it's likely that any development that's going to happen on 41 is going to be business.
Not residential.
I don't imagine this parcel being R1. There's just the value of 41 frontage is gonna make that a business zone, and then the screening wouldn't be required. So it's just because of legacy zoning, kind of, that we're having that issue. And it doesn't make sense to us to screen woods.
All right, once this project is completed, will there be truck parking in the rear?
100% built out.
Once it's 100% built out, there would not be. We have a phased plan that I think Ashley shared, just for illustration, of what, phase 2, phase 3 would look like. So, no, we would have buildings, and then we would have a 30-foot rear yard setback and a 28-foot drive aisle. So the rear 58 feet would just be nothing, because we can't get another building out there.
How many
so-
trucks are back, parked there? How many trucks are you parking there now?
I can speak to it in terms of revenue easier than number of trucks. I know that we benefit about $8,000 a month from all trucks on the site. There's a sliver of them towards the front. We benefit, I would guess, about $6,000 a month from whatever's parked there. And that really helps us. That
How many
really helps
trucks are
carry it. What's that?
How many trucks?
I'm gonna guess that I'm not the ops guy, I can get you that answer. I'm gonna guess it's more than 50. For
50?
sure, more than 50 for sure. Yeah, and it might be, might be 70, I can get you a defined answer, because we haven't.
No, I just could, 50
Yes.
is a good round number.
Yeah,
Now, Jerry, public is closed. What would it cost to pave that?
it would be so much money to pave it that it's not worth having it, at all. Drive aisles alone.
Mr. President, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Probably want to avoid finances and fiscal considerations. They're not criteria for a variance, developmental variance.
Right, and that's not what I was getting at, but that's fine. I'll leave that behind. Well,
Mr. Capurro, while respecting Mr. Austin's comment, I'll only make the general comment that generally, in our business model, asphalt is cost prohibitive to profitability. I would not, I don't think ever come before you with a plan to just put asphalt back there and have parking and illumination, because I don't think it makes any financial sense whatsoever. Storage is a lot more profitable.
Now, when you have 4 buildings that you're gonna build, I mean, why would you want asphalt when you're gonna put buildings up?
Right. And generally, there's a, entire field. Now, you're gonna be seeing it more applications for IOS, which is not our business category. It's called industrial outdoor storage. And I can tell you, for them, especially having to support the weight of trucks and trailers and stuff like that, good luck if they think they're gonna make money putting asphalt down. It's just too, especially right now, it's just too expensive. But I'm only making that comment generally.
Would you upkeep the place now? According to this picture, there's like some bare spots there.
One,
It's haphazard parking, would you rearrange that, pour gravel back there?
6.
We'll maintain, the safety of it. Like, in other words, if we have to, so it's pretty common, especially after you plow something, that you gotta have somebody come, dump gravel and fill in spots. But, I can tell you, our storage sites never have gravel between our buildings.
It's not like haphazard parking there now and stuff.
Well, it's not haphazard in the sense that so we use SiteLink as our revenue and inventory management system. So every truck is a, space, it's a numbered space in our database and inventory. And, believe it or not, our ops guys have drawn something and said, okay, this is our parking plan, and these are the parking numbers, and this is how people have to park. And it probably conforms a lot to what we inherited, but, it's not haphazard from a customer management and revenue management standpoint.
Are you representing building department tonight, Tim?
I guess, yes. That's me.
Again?
I just have one more comment. I'm looking at this and looking at their plan, listening to this whole story, I feel like, this has been here, they've been able to park stuff back here. They're making an improvement and bringing it up to par. I don't see any issue with starting in the front and working its way back, but I guess my concern would be that, right now they have 50 things parked there, so if they come in 2 months to build 2 more buildings or whatever in the back, is the plan to keep cramming all that stuff to the back until you can't fit it anymore, or is there
the beauty
of something that can be worked out that as you go, that goes from 50 to 40 to 30 to whatever? I think that the point everybody's trying to make is that you're saying you're gonna phase out the outdoor storage. Obviously, they're gonna clean it up and fix it, but if we can work out some kind of a, as they do come back and, say they got 50 spots now and they come back and add 2 buildings, they go down to 40 spots, or I don't know, I didn't see your optimal plan, but to kind of phase out as you go and, you're coming in for 2 more, or another building, you're gonna lose 5 more, or however many spaces, and kind of realistically do what you're saying you're gonna do.
So what you're looking at on that screen represents how potentially we'd work with the building department, right? Which is those are the outlines of buildings, right? Sure, we'll put asphalt in for, roads, and hey, don't make us put asphalt, when we get to this next stage, right? Let's say it's the back 2 buildings and we're building the 2 that show parking spaces on them. We would come to you and say, hey, we'll extend the road back a little bit, but, and there'll be asphalt in between all of those octagons that you see, because that's how customers are gonna access stuff. But, we're gonna go ahead and move these parking spaces, onto, the 2 buildings on the rightmost part of the site, and then eventually they'll be gone. We just don't wanna put asphalt, we don't wanna spend money on asphalt under vehicles, because it just costs too much money. And, you know, all we wanna do is use the vehicles that we have when we bought this to help us carry the site. That's all we really wanna accomplish with this, you know? So, that just represents how maybe we'd work with the building department as we work through the back. We just, and say, we wanna build these next two buildings, and, you know, I would be agreeable to saying, and this is what the residual parking will look like at that time, this is how many spaces we'll have, and here's where they'll be. So at least there's some tracking of what it is, it's not just the wild, wild west back there. Does that make sense, Tim?
Well, yeah, and I guess it does, but I guess it would make more sense to me that you would be lowering the number of outdoor storage things as you went back, or whatever. I mean, I don't know, like you said, I would like to see a path of, you know, basically doing what you're saying you're gonna do. You're gonna lessen the outdoor storage as you go, and then that way, everybody's got a comfort level that they're, you know, as they're building, they are really getting rid of the outdoor storage as they're going, and it's kind of holding them to do what they say they're gonna do. Or for peace of mind, I guess, for the board.
Is that enforceable?
Everybody.
Is that,
Well, if there's a-
is there a way of,
I mean,
you
if
know,
there's some kind of a
obviously,
schedule that would, I mean, if there was a,
I was hoping to come back here.
yeah.
There are a couple ways to approach this. It seems to me I'm sitting in a meeting where you're talking about a PUD type of development activity. And the reason I say PUD is because of the flexible terms and conditions and requirements that are being talked about here, the conditions for development. That would require a plan, that would require a site drawing, that would require commitments, or it could require commitments in the contract. Alternative, probably the poor person's way to approach it might be to consider a zoning commitment, a contract run with the land that has terms, conditions, requirements, timelines, substantive conditions for purposes of fulfillment, completion, and the like. That could include also surety. Could end up having surety in there to assure the commitments made in the agreement, if breached, are enforceable by the town, just like a performance surety in a subdivision plat or a project. So, it seems there are ways to make it enforceable, Eric, to go to your point directly, to your question.
Well, I'd like to see a construction timeline. You're gonna start putting the building up front. That's where you're gonna start, right?
Yeah, if we get the remaining approval.
Once you complete that building, then you're gonna move to the back. Are you upgrading the storage units that you have there now?
No, other than we have money in our budget just for asphalt maintenance. Everything in white is asphalt, not just maintenance, but that's it. Yeah.
But you're not upgrading it. So once you finish the building up front, then your next phase is you're gonna jump to the back and start putting units up and back.
Yep.
How many units are gonna go in the back?
Generally speaking, you could take the square footage on any one of those buildings, like see the one that's kind of square that says phase 2, 10,200
One in the middle?
square feet. Generally speaking, you can divide any of those buildings by 120 or 110, and that gives you your unit count. So
I'm not good at math. How
let's
many
say
buildings is
100.
that?
So let's do it easy. 10,000 divided by 100 is 100. So.
100 new buildings.
That one's 100.
no,
the next
100
one-
unit, 100 square foot unit.
Right, a 10 by 10 is right, so that's 100, and then you look at the next one and say, okay, that one is 12,000 square feet, you know, divided by 100 is another 120 units, so every building is about that, just for ease of math, that's what I'm saying.
So you're putting up two buildings, one 10,000, one 12,000.
Generally, that's like.
I asked how many buildings you're putting up back there. Can you tell me how many buildings you're putting up back
Yeah,
there?
there's a plan that has a phase number next to every building. There's 5 buildings shown back there. Bear in mind, this is the first time anyone has looked at this, because Plan Commission has only looked at the front. So, you know, there's phase 2 is that building is 10,000. You can see on and on and on, those 5 buildings with square footage and a phase number next to them.
I think he's trying to ask you how many buildings you're gonna have that fit, right, John? 5 more.
Five more, I mean, it's right there, I mean, one in the front, five in the back, you're building 6 units on there.
Okay, so what's the time span on start to finish?
I don't know, I'd probably like, you know, with where the economy is right now, I'd probably like 2 or 3 years to get to the next phase, 2 to 3 years for the next, 2 or 3 years for the next. That's probably what I'd like. And what I'd be agreeable to doing, Mr. Kubiak was asking, how do we guarantee there's less trucks? Well, that's common sense. As soon as the buildings are built, there's less room for the trucks and there's less trucks. So when I pull a building permit for any of those buildings, I'd be willing to work with the building department as part of that phase to show how many truck spaces are remaining and where they will be. That's a condition that's easy.
Well, my common sense is showing me that I could build 3 of those buildings and still squeeze all that shit to the back and still have it all there.
I don't
That's what
think
I'm
so.
saying.
Not with
Yeah, look
circulation.
how much open space is on there.
You need a 75-foot, your fire department would disagree, because you need very wide aisles to get through.
I've seen funnier things happen.
All right, I'll let Mr. Hulse comment, because that's all he does all day, is draw, you know, radiuses with fire trucks going.
I
And
guarantee
believe me,
I could build 2 of those buildings, if not, at least 2 of those back buildings and still have all that.
Tim, the toothpaste tube's getting smaller. I mean, it really is, and I would.
And that's why I'm asking, that's
Yeah.
all I'm saying, is that's why I want some type of agreement, that's all. I get it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you to a point, but then again, I've seen a lot of stuff jammed into a lot of places also,
Yeah.
so that's all I'm saying. And that's why I think the concern of them is that, you know, you keep pushing and jamming it full, and I think an agreement like that would kind of give everybody a little peace of mind that the outdoor storage is phasing out as the indoor storage is coming in. That's-
Yeah, I mean,
I just thought it was kind of a practical ask.
okay.
But, I mean, and I know you have to lose some, but I'm just saying, that way you are losing some and they are getting some, you know, you're giving some up and you're getting a new building. I just thought that
Yeah,
was kind of a.
by the way, in none of this is a zoning hearing. In none of this are we permitted to violate building code, right? So, we have to maintain certain turning radii, we have to maintain drive aisles. I can guarantee you, and I'm sure Mr. Hulse can get up here and talk about it, by virtue of building code, not zoning, there will be far less vehicles on here because there's just not as much land to play with. And that's all there is to it.
What's the storage of these, what types of buildings are these proposed buildings?
Yeah, they're all climate controlled. That's why they're the size that they are. Yeah.
So they will be different than the existing storage that's there?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, your existing, they're in climate controlled on those ones that are actually there right now.
Correct.
So all 6 units are all going to be climate controlled.
That's the plan, yeah. I mean, when these things get approved, and we get these approved in big towns and in small towns all over the country, you know, at the end of the day, people care that you maintain the dimensions of the buildings and that you have some respect for unit count, and that certainly you respect the drive aisles. If the market 4 years from now, for some reason, is large format contractor storage, that, you know, that big building that you see, the one that's 200 by 80, you know, we came to the building department and said, hey guys, we want large format there. It's still gonna be climate, or it's not gonna be climate. Most of the time, that's not what, you know, these types of bodies care about. I'm telling you, the front building, 1,000% will be climate, and those next 3 buildings will be climate. I don't know what the back will be. The back is just too far off in the future. What I'm committing to is, that's the footprint of those buildings, and this is the site plan.
Okay, the other part of your request is lighting. You don't wanna put lights back there.
Not now, because typically what happens is we mount the lighting to the buildings. Every photometric plan we do for storage requires us to mount it to the building, have it only go down, not shine on the neighbor, and, you know, illuminate the drive aisles for a certain amount of foot candles. So putting poles in is not something we wanna do because it's not consistent with how anyone develops self-storage. Those lights always are mounted to buildings. Now, I mean, we could take that building that Mr. Kubiak said was, built without a permit and certainly attach some lights to that as a matter of compromise. But the concept of hiring DVG to put a bunch of poles out there that we're not gonna need in the future is something I respectfully would ask that you don't make us do.
So basically, you're asking for everything and giving us nothing. You want us to give you the gravel parking lot, you don't wanna do lighting. You don't wanna do the screening on the north side.
I'm making,
It's what you're asking for.
I'm trying not
I don't know
to,
if we're willing to give you all.
well, Mr. Riling, I'm not trying to come off that way at all. I mean, honestly, this is a very strange circumstance that this thing is. What I am giving you is millions of dollars of investment in a beautiful building at the front and, you know, some beautiful buildings in the future. Storm detention handled, fire hydrants added, I think it's $350,000 of fire loop being put in. We're not, in any way draining the city of sewer, of water, we don't have any of those resources we're consuming. And I am willing to entertain Mr. Austin's suggestion of giving you, a PUD. So I don't know how to answer your question, because I don't know what context I'm supposed to be giving you something in here.
Now, if he's requesting a PUD, does he have to go to the plan commission and
I'm not requesting it, I'm just being.
It wouldn't be our,
Yeah, it's a plan commission procedure.
that's a
Jerry.
plan commission matter, so
Town council would
that,
adopt.
we wouldn't have to do anything, correct?
You have nothing to do with it.
Right, so if that's the way he's going, he has to go back to the plan commission.
Right. You can still, yeah.
Well, he needs a variance from us to go back to the plan commission.
Now, if he changes his,
Changes what?
his request at the plan commission, correct?
And there's some overlap, it appears, in some of the requests.
So he's gotta think what's gonna be better for him right now, because
Well, Mr. Riley,
I don't know if you're gonna get your variance. I don't know these
That's
guys'
fine.
decisions.
That's fine.
So we're trying to work out the best for you, and the way it sounded is to go back to the plan commission, or change his thing to a PUD or some other format, that he won't need all this.
CUD, one lot subdivision, and everything contained within.
I'll let you speak. I think this is a good idea because they're seeing this as an example and we could actually present this to plan.
Yeah.
So I'm just speaking to that.
Yeah. So I think what we're hearing is that maybe a deferral for 30 days would be in order, during which time we can submit petitions to the plan commission. And if we decide to go the PUD route, that would be something as part of those conversations that we would do. So that would be our request this evening, is that we defer and that we consider some of the other options that may be available to us.
I make a motion, we defer to the next month meeting.
I have a motion by Mr. Rogers to defer to the next, BZA meeting in June. I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in further support of the deferral, I find it curious, you should too, that your staff could not find records from 1986 related to zoning, permitting, processing. I thought that very interesting. We should put a search on for it, actually. Additionally, it's hard to conceive that those of us who have been here a long time know that issuance of citations isn't something that happens much. And if you're drawing a conclusion from that, that's probably a problem. So, a couple of additional items, just from staff report and your documentation.
Yeah. And I would be equally as curious about that. Anecdotally, if you look at the GIS, you'll notice that there's roads around building footprints that are not built. So maybe there was already a PUD in place that allowed us to build these
It
buildings.
probably wasn't, that ordinance was prehistoric, but
Easier with that.
Okay, I need a vote, roll call?
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes, motion carries 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you, see you next month.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item number 2. Trudeau, developmental variant. Owner petitioner David L. Trudeau, 13023 Polk Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303, vicinity of 13023 Polk Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Developmental variances allow the petitioner to rebuild a deck 25 feet from the property line. Are legals in order?
legals are in order.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
David Trudeau, 13023 Polk Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana.
And say what you would like to do.
I want to add 6 boards to my deck in the front, because when you open the door and back up to bring the groceries in, you can fall backwards down the stairs. I bought the home in that condition. All I'm asking is to build it 3 foot out further for safety for the family.
So 6 2x6s?
They're 5-quarter decking
That's
boards.
what they come out of?
6 of them.
Okay.
I mean, that's all I want to do is run.
So you wanna add 3 feet to your existing for safety?
Yes, sir.
That's to the front, right?
Yes, sir.
Have a seat for a minute, I'll see if there's any remonstrators. Do we have any remonstrators for or against? Any remonstrators for or against? Nobody online?
No.
Public is closed. You may step back up, sir. Tim, do you have anything on this?
No, this is one of those that just happens, he doesn't have the space, but, no issues at all, it's just for egress out of this house, so, no concerns at all.
Okay. Board members, do you have any discussion?
No, I would like to grant them.
I have no problem.
So if you would like for me to make a request,
Is that a motion?
I will make a motion to grant the variance to allow the petitioner to rebuild the deck at 25 feet from the property line to add your 3 feet for safety to 5 feet back.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Burnham to approve, and a second by Mr. Hunley to approve his motion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes, motion carries 5-1. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
5-0.
Right there.
Number 3, Camus, developmental variance. Owner petitioner Richard Camus Jr., 13132 Lindbergh Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303, vicinity of 13132 Lindbergh Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Developmental variance to allow the petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on the property line of a corner lot, replacing the existing fence. Are legals in order?
They are.
Thank you. Do we have a representative here? Representative, please?
Is everyone online?
No.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to make a motion to move it off to the next month? Or drop you?
You wanna wait till the end of the meeting? Put it in the back end? It should be coming.
Found that too.
We'll
Yeah.
wait to the end of the meeting and then make a
Do we need
decision.
to make a motion on that or no?
You know,
Okay.
sure can cover that.
Okay. Number 4, we're moving to the end of the meeting also. New business, number 1. Growing, Developmental variance, owner petitioner Chad Groen, 9074 Klein Avenue, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307, vicinity of 14607 Doobie Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Developmental variance would allow the petitioner to reconstruct an existing house with a reduction in garage square footage to 384 square feet, a reduction of the side yard setback on the south property line to 4 feet, and a reduction in the side yard setback to 6 feet in the north property line. Legals in order?
They are.
Thank you. State your name and address, please.
Name is Chad Gruen, address is 9074 Klein Avenue, Crown Point, Indiana.
State what you want to do, please.
Basically, arguing for a hardship, we're trying to put essentially 10 pounds of house on a 5-pound lot. So it wasn't qualified as a legacy lot, so this new, improvement on the house is having a side yard issue. And, we would have to reduce the size of the house, making it almost, inhabitable. The rooms would be too small. And, ultimately, the garage, was a little bit short of the 400 square foot minimum, I think by 16 square feet.
Well, the 10-pound house is what you want to build, and the 5-pound lot is what you have. But one of the problems I see are setbacks on the sides, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And for safety reasons, we like to have the 8-foot, side yard. 4 foot is definitely a problem.
Is that for fire vehicles or?
Well, not necessarily vehicles, but for fire equipment, emergency equipment of whatever kind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you throw an air conditioner up there and then it's totally blocked, probably can't even walk through there.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, you got 6 foot, well, that's basically because your garage is sticking out there, you know, doing that, so, yeah, I can see the smaller garage, I wouldn't squawk about that too much, but,
Yeah.
but, definitely need the safety on the sides.
Could we get by with 6 and 6, split the difference?
Well, we'll think about that while I call for remonstrators.
Okay.
So just grab a seat up front here, and, do we have any remonstrators for or against? State your name and address, please, sir.
Bob Van Ramshorst, 14507 Lakeshore Drive. I own the lot next to the house that he's talking about, that he's asking to go from 8 foot, which is the requirement, to 4 foot. And I'm planning on building a home there, a ranch, that we have 1 story that I could, and I just don't want to have it 4 feet away. He's right, it's a 10-pound house on a 5-pound lot, which is the same as mine. And gladly, I'd say right now, if he allowed me a 4-foot variance, but he's gonna build a house and sell it, then I won't have that opportunity. The next person will tell me, no, you need 8 feet, that's what the law says. You need 8 feet so that if his starts on fire, it doesn't catch mine on fire. There's a lot of reasons you need 8 feet.
Okay,
Our houses are close enough together to begin with.
okay, thank you for your comment. Do you have any other remonstrators for or against? Any other remonstrators? Seeing none, remonstration is closed. You may step back up, sir. Is there a house on there now?
There is
How big is that house?
700 square feet.
And you're proposing, how big is your one that you want to build? So you're gonna take down the 700 square foot house and build what?
We're gonna end up building a two-story, total of 2,300 square feet.
What's the footprint?
So it's 22, is that cut in half? Is the basement the full size of the whole
No
existing
basement,
house?
slab, footprint.
Is the first floor the same size as the second floor?
No, it's probably a little bit, it's deeper, so the new proposed plan is, we're going deeper and obviously a little bit wider to accommodate the roof, but, let's just say we're 40 foot now, we're going to 62 foot. That's a quick guesstimate in terms of depth. But I think we're subject to R2 zoning, which was a minimum square footage and minimum garage square footage. So the hardship we're having is we have to hit the house square footage and have a certain garage size. And so how do you do that and still have, 30 foot up front, right?
I don't know how you do that. Choose a different house?
Variance, that's what I need.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I can say. I
One
mean,
word, 3 syllables.
You need to shrink it. And I understand you want the square footage, but you gotta take 2 foot off of your garage to make it fit on the other side. And 4 foot off the other side. I mean, or lose the garage totally and don't have a garage.
Is that a possibility?
To what?
Because I think the variance was for a 400 square foot garage minimum, which is part of what we're asking for, is a 384 square foot garage.
So they have to have a garage?
Well, it kind of is a double-edged sword, because if you look at it as a remodel, then no. If you look at it as building a new house there, then he needs a garage, so, there is currently a house there. I mean, the house there is in fairly decent condition. It's definitely just a little cottage, though, somebody put a new foundation.
But the house that's there with the garage meets that meets code, correct?
There is no garage.
Or no, there is no
There is no
garage.
garage,
Because he's building a new house, code requires a garage.
Correct. So, yeah, this is definitely a narrow footprint. I mean, we went out there and looked at his options.
His options is a smaller house.
Obviously, it's a 50-foot lot, right, but, I mean.
It's a 50-foot lot.
It's a 50-foot lot, correct.
People gotta realize when you're buying these small lots here in town, there's only a certain house that's gonna fit on that 50-foot lot.
Right.
They know going in, it's a 50-foot lot.
50-foot lot.
And, you can't, like you said, it's a 10-pound house on a 5-pound lot. He said it himself.
Exactly.
So the width of the lot is 50 feet, correct?
Correct.
You're gonna lose 8 feet on your side, so we're gonna deduct 16 feet. And then you have to have a pathway to get to your driveway. So that's another what? I don't know what kind of car I drive. My wife's car ain't gonna do it, so we'll do another 12, leaves you with 22 feet of front house. So, but you bought that lot to knock down the house, build a new house,
Yeah.
to resell it.
Yeah.
It's not, so then I don't see a hardship. That's the problem.
What is the R2 requirement for the house size minimum? Is it 2,000 square feet or 1,800 square feet?
Two-story, 2,400.
2,400. And we're zoned R2. We tried to, I think it's called legacy lots. That was the first question I had when we bought it, is do we fall within there? But I think we were 1,000 square feet over on the lot size. So we're kind of stuck between this legacy lot and the R2 zoning requirement. So, we're kind of pinched.
I agree. The house that's there, if he remodeled the house though, he could add to the existing house as a remodel.
Right, but he can't really add on to it without a variance because he's in the same boat. I mean, it's just.
Because his offsets are 8 feet right now.
There's not a lot you can do other than leave a 700 square foot house there without a garage. I mean, that's kind of the option, it's a tough situation, like you said, if you want to try to meet the minimum requirements and build on it, or you don't. That's basically
So it becomes a rental or it becomes a, you know, a community staple. And, you know, being a good neighbor, if we get a setback to 6 feet, you know, we can try to rework that and make that work. You know, if we can get 6 to 6, give us a little wiggle room, try to split the
Maybe
difference.
22 goes to 26, we can give or take. I mean, I'm not an architect, but I mean, that's your amount of.
Talk to me about 6, I've been mowing for once, you don't get tickets.
You're a good neighbor.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you move in, but.
He's not
I need to
moving
step on my
himself.
shoes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, right.
So either he's gonna build, tear something down, put something up, sell it again, or he's gonna have to fix this one up or whatever to make it runnable.
Or don't fix it up and leave it.
And that'll come to another arrangement on something else,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I think, you know, it's, again, for me, it's, I don't even talk about the financial side, but for community aspect, it's better for the Lakers.
I'm done, I don't have any other questions.
Any others? Well, you wanna see if you can find a different house to put on there, or what do you wanna do? You want us to
Is there
vote on
any
it,
grace
or?
with the,
Pardon?
is there any grace with the 8-foot setbacks? Is there anything to be said about that? Because I can rework the plan a little bit. but-
Setbacks, what, the sides?
Yeah, the side yard's 8 foot.
Well, I'd like to see 8 foot. You know, you booger up to that side yard, and he does the same thing, and all of a sudden, and there's a fence on both sides of this, I believe, right?
No, one side.
Both sides says wooden fence, I thought I seen that here.
One says wood, one says chain link.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, that becomes a problem there with the fence. So, you know, you can't even put a wheel onto his property to get back to the edge, so.
Yeah, I think the goal was to go through the garage with the overhead door to the backyard, but,
Well, that go right to your living room.
well, in the proposed garage, go through the front and, you know, like a little.
Yeah, I know what you
Yeah. Helicopter landing pad. Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's tough if you're gonna remodel and be held to R2 zoning standard.
So what do you wanna do? You want us to vote on it, or do you wanna
Continue and come up with a new.
deferral, or you wanna withdraw it, or?
I'd say let's vote on it, let's get an answer and see where he's at, and
Okay,
Now, if his vote's negative, then you have to wait a year, right, before he proposes something new? Or
no, he has to,
total
a year
redesign?
if he comes back to the same plan.
Okay, but a redesign.
If he redesigns it into a better plan.
how does the deferral work? Does that just keep this case open, basically?
Well, it will be deferred until next month, or,
See if you can do something to increase the plan,
Basically,
before they tell you no.
Try to get within the 8 foot.
yeah, try to get, shrink the house down.
My knowledge, then you don't have to repost it,
Try to get down to 8
so
pounds.
you keep it open and get referral and come out with it, and try to get the footprint. Instead of throwing the work, you just get throwing it away.
Okay.
So you can ask for deferral for 1 month, or for 2 months, I would go
I
over
think we
2
can do it in a
months.
month.
Month?
Yeah.
So you're asking for a deferral?
I'm asking for a deferral.
I make a motion to defer this to the June meeting?
I have a motion by Mr. Riley to defer this to the June work session, BZA.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Hunley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, leave me alone.
Commission is called to the lobby. Number 3,
What's the number?
proposed developmental variance. Owner petitioner Valerie Nichols, 8721 Beck Ridge Court, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity of 8721 Beck Ridge Court, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. The developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to a reduction in rear yard setback from 30 feet to 27 feet for a covered deck. Are legals in order?
In order.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Valerie Nichols, 8721 Buckeye Court, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303.
Explain what you'd like to do, please.
I would like to have my deck, it's currently in ruins almost, and it needs to be redone. And on top of that, we were going to add a covered roof. The deck is going to be extended roughly 2 feet, and the reason we want the covered roof is to prolong the longevity of the deck. The current deck has been gone by wear and tear. The previous owners had it built in as wood, and they had paint over it, which has caused rotting, and my husband's foot has gone through the deck multiple times, so it really needed to be replaced. So to prolong the longevity of it, we wanted to also have a covered roof, so that way it will not be weathered so quickly, and it'll also add to the value of the house when we go to sell it way later in the future. But for right now, it's mostly to make it a safety feature for our family.
Okay, I see you live in Havenwood and that you got approval from the building committee.
Yes, HOA has approved.
Yeah, it's in the packet here. If you have a seat for a minute, you grab one up front here. I'll call for remonstrators. Are there any remonstrators for or against? Any remonstrators for or against? Seeing none? Closed. Building department, any comment?
Nothing. I think we talked about this at the, building meeting, and nobody had any real comments about it.
Step back up to the ravine there, or do you have a property behind it?
There is a property behind us. We have spoken with those neighbors as well, and we have explained everything to them, and we have their consent to absolutely go through with this, and we also will be doing a fence later on, and we've also gotten approval through that, and they actually are very happy for us to be doing this. So we were basically given the go-ahead sign from them.
I don't know, this one says Nichols. Where are you at? On the back, and she said that she's free.
Pardon? Yeah, no, I've seen it before. I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
All right, does the board have any comments?
What is your address?
8721 Buck Ridge Court, Cedar Lake, Indiana.
And you're McLean?
No.
No.
Did we skip one?
We skipped one.
We skipped one.
Okay.
What did I skip?
I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, man, I am
That's what
lost.
Yeah, we're on number 3.
I was wondering,
I didn't try to go back to it.
I'm not,
I thought we just go and we're approaching, so we'll go back to it.
By all means, I will definitely go.
All right.
Looked like you wanted to leave.
Yeah, she's ready to get out of here, so. Mr. Chairman, I don't have any more questions for her.
I have no problem.
Any questions? No? All
Thanks a lot.
right, board decision.
It is my third.
I will make a motion to approve the variance to allow petitioner to construct, wait, that's the wrong one, isn't it? I just read number 4. Development variance to allow petitioner introduction of rear yard setback for 30 feet to 27 feet for a coverage to find the findings of fact.
Have a motion by, Mr. Burnham,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Hunley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Caparo?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move back to number 2.
Number 2.
McLean, owner petitioner Gary H. McLean Jr., 14465 Hibiscus Way, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity of 14465 Hibiscus Way, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on a property served by sidewalks to be 25 feet from the property line. Do we have a petitioner? Okay, our legals in order.
Legals are in order.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
My name is Barry McLean, I live at 14465 Hibiscus Way, Cedar Lake.
State what you would like to do.
On the street side, on the curb side, I'd like to put a 6-foot privacy fence, PVC, that matches basically the other two that are my neighbors. I was told I needed to have a 50-50, like a see-through fence, but I'm asking if we can, let me have a solid one. And also I'm asking to go to the middle of my house, where the HOA actually approved it though. I wanna hide the utilities that are on the street side. I think they're ridiculous for the neighborhood to look. I don't like to look at them, so I'm sure the neighbors don't like to look at them. But all the utilities are on the street side. And it's just ridiculous.
Is this in Rose Garden?
It is.
You have a seat for a minute, I'll call for the administrators. Enter your administrators for or against. And then administrators for or against. Seeing none, we're closed. You can step back up, sir. Building department?
We did discuss this also, and, seeing that the Rose Garden does have a 25-foot building line in the front yard, that is pretty consistent with, that would be basically that setback, so if that lot was straight, that would be where he would put his fence, so, we seem to think it was, made sense.
There's other, houses in that community that have that same setback, correct?
I believe that actually...
What I meant is there's another house in your community that has a fence and has the same setback on that line.
Right.
Yeah, except a little bit
Well,
closer.
if he was on a straight road, he would be able to put a fence there.
Right, but I remember doing one for a turn over there
I think
too.
there was, I think there, Ashley mentioned there was one similar, but I don't know that for a fact.
Is there an association for the subdivision too?
Yes,
And then you got approval for all that too?
yes.
So we need approval from them to issue a permit?
You don't.
We
No, I
don't.
just wondered what the.
Just Havenwood, right?
I was just asking just to see what you
Yeah.
had to say, that's all.
Sure. Sure.
I don't have any other questions.
Any other board discussions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the development variance to allow petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on a property served by sidewalks to be 25 feet from the property line to the findings of the fact.
Motion made by Mr. Burnham.
I had a question. He mentioned something about a visibility fence,
I'll second it so he can do his question.
Go ahead.
about the visibility, you wanted a solid fence, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Is that,
That other one it was a privacy fence also.
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Okay, second by Mr. Riley. No discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Been a long meeting already.
Thank you.
You're
Have a
welcome.
good night.
Okay, Nicole, we already did. Number 4, developmental variance, owner, Petitioner Amanda Davidson, 13433 Lee Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity of 13433 Lee Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on the property line of a corner lot. Are legals in order?
It's hard to tell. I do not have a certified list of adjacent owners, or, I have 2 green cards, I'm not certain. I
Those were
also,
sent into Ashley, the day before they were due. I emailed them into her, she confirmed she got them.
any action you take should be conditioned upon having the legals checked. Filing in the file, something.
Okay, state your request, please.
Vanda Dawson, 13433 Lee Street, Cedar Lake. I wanna continue the fence that's already on my property. It's a 6-foot privacy fence. There's 2 utility poles on my property, and those would be on the other side of the fence, so they'd still be accessible. I have a dog and a kid, I'm just trying to keep them safe in the yard. And,
So the yellow where you have it highlighted, that's all new fence?
yes,
Where is your existing fence?
the other line.
On the back of the yard?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. So it's connected to my garage on the front, and it connects to my neighbor across from me. He's also on a corner lot, he's got a 6-foot privacy. And then I'm just trying to harbor in the yard there. And usually on a quarter lot, it's like 3 feet tall, but I have a 100-pound dog, and that's not gonna keep it in the yard. That's why I asked for the 6 foot.
Do you want the fence to go where that yellow line is around the whole property, right on the property line?
I'm open to it being further back. I know it's usually like 6 feet, but I feel like 6 feet in will take up too much of my yard. And with it being all one-ways, there's no concern for oncoming traffic. And with the utility pole in the corner, you'll still be able to view prior to crossing the road, if that makes sense.
Okay, we have a seat for a minute, I'll call for administrators. We have any administrators for or against? Any administrators for or against? See none, administration is closed. You can come back up, ma'am. Building department?
We had some concerns, just, I know she said the utility poles on the corner, just of the vision triangle being maintained, which is that 20-foot back each way to, create that triangle on the corner. It looked to me like that oak tree on the north side of your property, if you constructed a fence, it looks like you would almost have to be 6 foot off the property line to make it past that tree.
My plan was to butt it up to the tree, because I need to be able to get out of my garage to get a gate to get a...
Yeah, I seen how you drew it on the picture.
Yeah.
I guess I think that, I know it's tight in there, this could be, the neighbor to the exact east of her has a fence, probably 3 foot, 4 foot off the property line, that's similar. It's a unique area up there, that is her backyard. I mean, there is no,
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, this could be around that circle, but, with the utility pole being there, and as long as you can see around the corners, I mean, when you come around to her house up Lee Street and make the left heading around the curves, there's a fence down that line, when you turn along that line. So it's fairly consistent with what's there, and there's another fence on Dewey, I believe, over there also. So everywhere up there, there's fences clear up, within, I would at least like to see 3 or 4 feet away from the, in on the property line, just because, I mean, I think it's keep somewhat of a zone, but I would say our neighbors is probably 3 foot, and, there's a couple around there that are probably...
And ma'am, what do you propose, how many feet do you want off the property line?
I'm content with 3 to 4 feet, that's fine. I just don't want the 6, I feel like the 6 will impede in the yard too much, and take away from the space that I do have, because that is the only yard that I have.
But you accept 4?
Yeah, I'm cool with 4, yes.
Is there any problem with fire equipment or anything, or emergency?
Well, that was just the thing that I think brought up, was just
If
thinking
they
about-
can't, I mean, they have to make it past the telephone poles and the trees and everything else, I mean, this is beyond that, so there's no, I mean...
Okay.
So...
I mean, I think you can definitely make it through there, it's not roomy, but, it is, you know what I mean, unless they could drive through her yard to get around the telephone pole, which I don't think they're gonna do anyway, I mean, they've been, you can make it through there, it's just, it is one way. I don't know,
It's one way in the front of your house technically.
It's one way all the way.
All the way around.
Every way
On
around.
that back road too is one way.
Yeah, and they all go the same direction.
Yeah, it all comes out of there.
I mean, I think that vision triangle needs to be maintained, the 20-foot back, and clip that corner where the pole, obviously the pole is clear out on the corner.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
will allow you to see.
And she's gonna be set back, 4 feet from the road, which is better
From
than
the
what her
right of
neighbor
way.
is, right?
Yeah, and the roads, there's a little bit, it would be basically 6 foot off of the pavement, because if you look at the survey where the road is comparatively to her property line, you know, it's.
But the neighbor's less than that, that
Yeah.
already has a fence?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's showing that vision triangle there, she's clipping that corner.
Yeah, I have to for the pole, yeah. It's
And that was,
It's
I mean,
gonna
that
be that
was.
5 feet at the corner at least, already. I just
That
want
was
the
a
rest to be
condition of building the
further
parking
out.
lot, was the vision triangle maintained on the corner. That was their request.
Okay, any other discussion? And I'll entertain a motion.
Does that motion have to include the vision triangle, or?
I would,
together?
just so it's in the record, yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion for a development variance to allow petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on the property line of the corner lot, with saying that it's going to be 4 feet from the property line,
Minimum.
at a minimal.
Minimum
And that-
4 feet.
What's that?
4 feet.
It was 4 feet, and then you also have to have the line of, what was that, what did you guys call it, the triangle?
Triangle vision, vision
Triangle
triangle.
To the findings of the fact.
A motion by Mr. Burnham.
The legals need to be in order, right?
Oh, do I need to include that in the motion?
Oh, yes.
And legals need to be put in order
Verified.
to be verified.
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot, I wrote it.
And you're, all right, ma'am, you know that, correct?
Yeah.
Questions?
Second by Mr. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Who's second, you?
Yeah.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Caparo?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
I don't
Planning
count.
commission, there's only 5 of us.
I don't count.
Score?
Mr. Chair, we're on number 5, correct?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Number 5, developmental variance, owner petition Lawrence M. Goff, 6500 West 129th Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity of 6500 West 129th Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. The developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct a 900 square foot second accessory structure with a 300-foot covered porch area for a total size of 1,200 square feet, with the wall height of 12 feet and an overall height of 17 feet, with a total accessory structure size approximately 1,325 square feet between the two structures. Are legals in order?
I actually don't have any legals.
I have an email proof that I sent it to Ashley.
It's not in this file then.
Okay.
So I do the same thing for him.
I have copies of it.
Oh, that'd be great, but we need to get our official file
Okay.
confirmed, so that can be.
So based on verification of legals?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, state your name and address, please.
Okay. Larry Goff. My address is 6500 West 129th Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 06303.
Okay, and state what you'd like to do.
I'd like to build a garage in my backyard, 30 by 30, then attach to it a 30 by 10 foot wide porch area, covered porch area. It'll be 12 foot walls as well.
Why do you need 12-foot walls?
I would like to put a color lift in there.
10-foot doors,
Yeah, it'll have 10 foot doors, but a 12 foot wall.
just so it's got 10-foot doors, you can put something in.
State your name, man.
Lawrence 500 West 135th Place.
Thank you, sir.
Just want to put 10-foot doors in there.
And what's the purpose of the car lift?
I like to look at my own vehicles, don't really trust anybody else to do it.
How are you gonna get to it?
So, on the east side of my lot, I have a gate, it's, 100 inches wide, I can drive a Cadillac there. And I'm going to gravel up to the garage, and then it'll be concrete apron in front of the garage.
You can't really put the garage in the back unless we put a boat slip in there.
Yeah.
There's so much water back there, it's unbelievable.
Do you have a garage in the house?
I do have a garage on the house.
So this is the second garage?
Yes.
Is that allowable?
I think he's allowed up to, according to this, he was allowed 900 square feet, or wait a minute, he's allowed 1,000 square feet, and this would be 1,025. To attach, the other garage is attached to your house, correct?
Yes, it is.
So that doesn't count as accessory structure coverage, so.
And the size of this, is that because of the garage plus the attached porch that he wants
Correct,
on?
he's got-
So the attached porch, because there's a roof above it, that is included in the total of the structure?
Right, he's got 900 square foot of building and then 300 square foot of.
So the covered porch is really technically why he needs that variance?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, it's various for wall height and that too, right?
Wall height.
Well, I was just trying to figure out the building wide, the structure size. So the covered porch, that's what included, okay.
Yeah, without the 10-foot doors, I mean, you can put 8 foot and then a 10 foot.
That's the height you're talking about, correct, sir?
Right, this goofy looking one.
Is this, the new structure is gonna be taller than the existing house?
No, the existing house is 18 feet tall, the new structure will be 17 feet tall.
So it'll be hidden, because it's gonna be directly behind
The house, yeah.
the house, and then you have you said you measured 100 inches on the east side of the house to
Yes.
get back to where you're going.
Yep,
Yeah.
I've been able to back trailers back there and drive my own vehicle back there, so that's, getting back there is not the issue.
And you do have the 8-foot variance on the side of the house.
Yeah.
If you need to get back there.
All I was doing was just making an example, sir.
Yeah, I know.
That's all I was doing. So you have your variance to get, so you have a means to get emergency vehicle back there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Your structure is gonna be, it's gonna be hidden by your primary structure, so the height is underneath the existing house.
Yes.
And because of the size of the covered porch, puts this building over to get that variance.
Yes.
Okay.
And ordinance says 10-foot walls, 14-foot high on accessory buildings, correct?
Correct.
So you're 2 foot over on the walls and 3 foot over on the height.
Right, unless you're matching the pitch of your house. If you're matching the roof pitch of your house, the height has a little bit of.
Little play, okay.
Yeah, if we're matching the work pitch of the house, we're a foot under it.
Matching the roof pitch of the house, so if you are matching the roof pitch of your house,
Yes.
that allows that, the height to exceed the 14 feet, because you're matching the height, but the 10-foot wall height is definitely.
That's the biggest issue right there.
That's the biggest issue.
With the work.
And the existing, the new structure is going to be shorter than the existing structure of this primary house.
Yeah, you won't see it.
Correct, and the building department's comments were that, we don't like the 10-foot sidewalls in the residential, or we'd like to stick to the 10-foot sidewalls in the residential area. Putting a scissor truss or a vaulted scissor truss ceiling with a taller door in the center. In the past, we've done that quite a lot, where people need to get an RV or get something in a taller 12-foot door, or whatever, you could gain, with a scissor truss, you can gain 4 feet of height inside your building to put a door, but then you're limited to just a door in the middle also, so.
Right.
But anyways, that's what's the only comments that was had from the.
Can that be done here? To lower the walls?
But then we have we have to restructure the whole thing, and I don't know how the porch would fit in on the building here. Because then we have one door in the middle of a 30-foot building. You
Might not be able to pull into.
Right, you could go this way and that's it. You wouldn't be able to get to the, turn to get to either side.
You wouldn't be able to do what?
The doors have to, if we did that, the door would have to go on the end.
Right.
In the
not
gable.
Front.
You have to go in the gable.
Oh,
You have to
okay,
go
yeah.
in the gable. and then you can
That's why I thought you were putting it anyway.
No, he's putting it on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would like to do is put offset it to one side, so I can pull it on the east side, just pull it right into the garage there. Because I put in the center, it's a lot harder to make that turn.
I agree.
All right, have a seat for a minute, I'll call for your administrators.
Okay.
Do we have any administrators for or against? Any administrators for or against? Seeing none, we're closed. You can step back up, sir. So, building department's okay with 12 foot?
Well, I mean, that was our concern, just that we don't like to go over the 10 foot in the residential.
Yeah, I don't either.
guess. I mean, looking at the site plan, where exactly do you live at? I'm kind of, I guess I still have kind of.
Lemon Lake Estates is the name of the subdivision.
Okay, Lemon Lake. Okay.
Right across with the.
And in the back.
By the elementary school, right?
I'm just kind of having an issue with the in and out of the garage, I guess. I mean, just.
Don't worry, under.
I mean, I guess I don't understand, you're using that 10-foot utility and drainage easement to drive.
No, so next to my house on the east side, that's gravel, so I can go into my backyard, and it has a gate on it.
Right there.
Correct.
So that's how you're getting back there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought you said you were going through that easement.
No.
Okay, that's why I was confused, I'm like.
He's gonna go Baja and go to the backyard. No, I figured that much, that's why.
NIPSCO trucks I do, they get stuck back.
You said something about easement.
So the structure's gonna be in front of the easement?
Yes.
So that's the only thing that's the biggest issue is, so we can get to the door, that's all on the garage. It doesn't stick up higher than the existing structure.
Right.
I agree.
Have any more comments?
No.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make a favorable motion for development variance to allow the petitioner to construct a 900 square foot second accessory structure with a 400 foot covered porch area with a total size of 1,200 square feet, with the wall height of 12 feet and the overall height of 17 feet, with a total accessory structure size approximately 1,325 square feet between the two buildings, to findings of the fact, and also that the legals are in order.
Good job.
Yeah. You didn't even take a breath in that.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Burnham, second by Mr. Riley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Carfaro?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Number 6, Bumgardner, developmental variance, owner petitioner Adam Bumgardner, 8319 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity of 8319 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a developmental variance from the town of Cedar Lake, County, Indiana, San Luis. I'm missing a piece of paper here.
Lakeshore Drive.
Pelham variance is to allow the petitioner to construct a rooftop deck on top of an addition along the west side property line with 2-foot setback. Are legals in order?
No,
No?
no. They're not here. And it just dawned on me thinking about the last couple. These are the latest the last petitions filed, the major agenda, and the documentation is on deadline. So, just thinking what.
So we can't,
No, you can, subject to.
Like we did with the last two.
Yeah,
Oh, just like the last two that we did
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
Alright.
Correct. That appears to be the reason.
name and address, please, sir.
Adam Baumgartner, 8319 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Say what you'd like to do.
We're looking to do a side yard variance, on what would be the west side of our house. We had an existing walkway there, that we removed, like to put the new one back up with basically enclosing underneath it, which would be the difference, from what used to be there.
You already have the first floor there for this addition?
This is the one that he built it on the line last year.
Okay,
Remember, he tore it down
Yeah.
and rebuilt it and went all the way to the line.
yeah,
So he's now back, revised his plan to match closer to what was there previous to when he tore it down and redone it. So he's now he's got a real plan. He has a 2-foot setback versus 0 setback. We know that from the pictures of from what was there in the new house being built directly to the west of him year before previous, that there was probably the poles were close to the line, maybe a foot, with the railing above. I mean, this is a pretty decent attempt to kind of make it better than it was prior to him tearing it down and starting. I don't know that it's much better, but I'm gonna say it's probably 8 inches. I mean, in 2 feet, you can't be a whole lot better, but it's a little better than it was, before he tore it down and built it on the line, so.
Alright, so let's go back to the original. Sir, you came in here, you were the one that built all this, didn't pull a permit, put an addition on the back. You pulled a permit to do concrete work, but then added 2 structures, the stairs that you tore down. That's what you're doing. So you had existing, you tore down, put yours up again, and then he had to tear that back down and redo it again?
Well, he's trying to rectify what he's done, so now
Okay.
he's got a plan he's trying to get approval so he can redo and adjust and make his improvement to comply.
Okay.
He's doing it right this time.
And that was what, to the best of your abilities, that was what was there originally, before?
I was down there quite a bit during the thing, and it's definitely it's definitely greater than what was there. The only thing, I mean, he's building a wall and a little enclosure under the deck to keep his stuff hidden, but the other one was basically a fence with the deck and the rail. I mean, the railing on the old deck was really close to the property line.
I do remember
before,
that.
So, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, this look we're here with the 3 and the 2 is definitely a lot more room than ever has been in between those 2 places, I guess. And that's just from, the new house that's built there got moved over 2 foot also, because it was about 1 foot off the line, so they had a 20, the neighbor had at least I think it was 24 foot, it was a 24-foot house on a 25-foot lot, basically, that they tore down and then redone, and they got a 2-foot side yard on one side, and I believe a 3-foot side yard on one side, so.
That's on that new house?
Correct.
Directly to the west.
And you have nothing on the north, on the one side, there's
Correct.
nothing there yet, right?
Not yet.
But there's a garage, that's a part of that property?
Up top, yes. Yeah, there's actually technically 2 garages up top.
Are those a part of your property or his?
Ours.
Yours?
Yes, yes.
Grab a seat for a minute, I'll call for remonstrators. Do we have any remonstrators for or against? Any remonstrators for or against? Seeing none, we're closed. You can step back up, sir. So Tim, you're saying the revised one is okay?
Well, I mean, I think it's a little improvement on what was there. I guess I feel that he's, I guess if you're gonna have a way in and out of the house and keep your stuff hidden, he doesn't have a whole lot of space there to do anything else. Other than, if he eliminates if he doesn't do the little storage area under the deck to keep his stuff in, then it's right in the neighbor's walkway, right out there to, so at the end of the day, before the deck was above anyway, it's just kind of it is what it is. It's an improvement for everybody there, I believe. I know if I was his neighbor and we lived that close to each other, I'd much rather not be looking at all this crap laying under his deck. If it was me, and he's
Right,
willing
he's
to
already
do that,
limited
so-
the size anyways.
And that was stairs coming all the way down there, right?
Yeah, there's stairs and then a walkway to the house and then stairs.
Previously, and he tore those down and
Well,
he put,
it was actually a deck, he just rebuilt the deck essentially that was there, but he put a wall down and he kinda fudged it right to the property line, I guess, so. It was real close, so. At any rate, he basically rebuilt the deck, instead of decking, he put plywood on it and some rubber roofing to keep the stuff dry. And, then he ended up getting a stop work order and came back with some space, so. I know those lots are small down there, and between what was there 5 years ago to what this will be is a huge improvement to everybody living there, so.
How much more do you got to do on the house?
A fair amount, we haven't done anything since.
Since work?
Yeah. So, obviously, we got the plans done, and then winter, and now, we're hoping to hit it hard now if it goes well.
So this variance is just for this particular
Correct.
item? There's no other add-on that's gonna magically, all right. I assume it's gonna be monitored, so, all right.
any other discussion? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a favorable motion for the development variance to allow petitioner to construct a rooftop deck on top of an addition along the west side property line with a 2-foot setback to the fine setback and to legals in order.
You just had to keep that 2-foot setback clear, like no air conditioner, no obstacles in the way, but keep that.
If you need that in the motion, I have
Yes.
no problem. So that 2-foot setback has to be maintained with no obstacle in that range. It has to come all the way through.
Understood.
All right.
Thank you.
Who seconded it? Jim? Had a motion by Mr. Burnham, seconded by Mr. Hundley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hundley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Now, that was the last one, right? Still, I got,
The one guy that
I
wasn't
didn't
here.
make your job.
Skip the one guy in here and then we got.
yeah, I got 2 here.
Right.
I know, but if you-
Yeah.
So that's 2 we got.
This one's there.
The canvas one, John.
Pardon?
It was the CAMU.
Yeah, right.
That were the ones that were here.
Sounds like I got my paperwork mixed up, imagine that.
I know, I've been confused since I got here.
So we're going back to the one, correct?
Right, we're going back to,
Well, we got Austin and the other one that you guys, was that, which one was that, sir?
Camus.
Was a no-show earlier, I don't know if they're here now.
Did Mr. Camus show up? Does Mr. Camus show up?
I'll just make a motion to put it on for next month, or do you wanna kill him?
No, I don't wanna kill him either.
Make a motion.
So I'll make a motion to continue, for a continuance to the next meeting, is that what you need, sir?
I think it'd be a motion to defer it to.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to defer
Yeah, we'll go with that, defer.
to
Next month.
next meeting for him.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burnham, and second by Mr. Riley, of course.
On that 4-1.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Caprow?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
So now what we got, Austin?
Yeah. Okay, back to number 4. If I can find them.
Are you crossing your fence too?
Oh, here, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Rough night, Jack. Oh, you're not Jack.
We're looking for a 5-1 vote, that's all we want.
I can find that on here.
Addition onto existing house. Increases coverage lot size for 33%.
Okay, Austin, developmental variance, David Austin, owner, 14326 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner, Theodore Roan, 13177 Road Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity of 14326 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Development variance is to allow the petitioner to build an addition onto the existing house, increasing the lot coverage to 33%. Hey, Dave, are legals in order?
Legals, probably gonna, be remade also, but they're in order.
Legals are in order? Okay.
We'll put in your motion since, pending legal review,
Verify.
verify legal review.
Pending legal review.
Okay.
We can do that.
State your name and address, please.
Ted Roan, Roan Associates Architects, 13177 Road Street, Cedar Lake.
And state what's to be done.
Okay, I'm here also with Jack Halls, who you all know, and he can get up in a few minutes and speak after you open up to the public. But essentially, Mr. Austin and his wife retained me to design a remodel in addition to their home on the lake. The home is a little dated, needs some tender loving care, and they want to expand towards the lake for a couple different reasons, which we can get into. But the project is an addition to the existing one-story residence. It's a complete renovation, interior and exterior of the home, including the expansion. The addition includes a small covered porch at the entry to give a little bit more cover at the front, but also to enhance the front entry aesthetics of the building. And the main addition is on the lake side of the house, and it encompasses in an area that is already covered by an existing covered patio, basically. So there's no really impact on impervious surfaces or anything of that sort. There's no impact on side yards, rear yards, front yards. It just simply a small increase in lot coverage. And what we're doing is we feel in keeping with what's been going on, other homes on the lake. I personally, along with DVG, have done a handful of homes on pretty much all sides of the lake, and so I've got every direction covered, and we're asking for your approval for increase in the lot coverage.
Okay, let me call for remonstrators. Do we have any remonstrators for or against? Any remonstrators for or against? Seeing none, we're closed. Hurry up.
All right, Jack Halls, DVG, representing the petitioner. I will, Ted introduced the project. We're looking forward to having your comments, and
Is this a legacy lot?
I don't believe it is a legacy.
Of the size.
It's because of the size, right? It's a little bit bigger than that. But this variance has been granted to an adjacent property owner. Many buildings that are new homes that are, or homes that are being remodeled around the lake are seeking this type of variance.
So the addition, is that another covered porch or is it an actual addition?
Well, it currently is a covered porch, and it is proposed to be an addition.
Alright.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna go on either side, you're not adding any house to the, to the side of,
No,
side of it?
Actually, you can see the existing building in the light gray there actually extends farther towards the lake
Yeah.
than this proposed addition would.
And nothing approaching the front?
Nope.
So you're gonna take an existing covered porch and make an addition?
You got it.
Okay.
We have a small covered porch at the front.
Yeah,
That's just over the entryway.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Cool. Are you redoing the whole roof?
Yeah, everything, the siding, the whole thing's gonna look completely different than it does today.
Okay, who's doing the roof?
I don't know.
Who's doing the roof?
They're gonna do a lot of, it's gonna be a lot different.
Yet to be determined.
Okay, any other discussion?
I don't have any.
No,
You gonna make a motion?
No discussion, we need a motion, yeah?
I'll make a motion to allow the development variance to allow the petitioner to build an addition into the existing house, increase lot size coverage of 33 cents to find the findings facts, and also to find that legals are in order.
Motion by Mr. Burnham, second please.
Second.
Second by Mr. Riley. Roll call.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
yes.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Jack. Thank you,
Thank you.
Ted.
See it. Is that all?
Ready to roll, huh?
That's all of them. I have to, a couple more things here to find my paperwork. Next time I'm not taking a staple out.
Cedar Lake Storage Phase 2 update.
Do we have any updates?
Cedar Lake Storage Phase 2.
I can't find my paperwork. Public comment. Have any public comment?
I know they're scheduled to pave like, the end of the month or first part of
That's something
June.
you asked Jeff.
Hey Jeff,
That's your lake storage.
we got any update on the Cedar Lake storage, when they're planning on getting?
That's it?
That's it, sir.
You know, I don't, was there,
I think the 15th of June is their deadline?
So they were supposed to have something,
Yeah.
Jeff, to our understanding, remember they were supposed to have something paid by X amount of time, they took out, something against that?
reconnaissance footing and that kind of stuff.
Alright, so we'll just leave that on until next
I know
month.
we checked our parking a couple times, and that was good, but, I didn't know when the deadline was, but we
I think,
checked that.
was it
The deadline is June 15th.
And then I recall that Jeff was
They
on.
hired a contractor.
So,
I know they're planning on it, they,
It'll be done.
are you okay with that?
Yeah, it'll be done, it's gonna, I mean, they have their money paid to do it if they don't, so.
Then the town gets
save
it,
it.
so.
Alright, we got the money to pay if we need to, so not worried about it.
Have they started yet or no?
Not that I'm aware of.
I think they hired.
So they're gonna do one side at a time or something, so they gotta, I mean, the asphalt plants are just.
Aren't they?
I heard it was the first week of June when they were scheduled to go.
Just go.
I assume the town will look into that matter, so. The asphalt paving.
No other comments? We're adjourned.